You think you know Bigfoot? Forget everything. Because on a quiet night in May 2025, deep in the cattail swamps of Monroe County, Michigan, a father and son witnessed something that defies every cryptid sighting on record. No glowing eyes, no growls in the dark, just a shadow nearly 8 feet tall, dropping silently from a tree like a special forces operative, then vanishing across the wetlands in 3 impossible strides. The press called it an unidentified primate. The locals whispered it moved like it knew it was being watched. But this wasn't just an encounter. It was a demonstration, a performance, maybe even a warning. I'm Jack M., 15-year field investigator into the world of the unexplained. I've chased chupacabra in Texas, tracked dogman in Kentucky, but Bigfoot, he's never made a move like this. Until now. This wasn't a slip-up. It felt like he wanted to be seen. So the real question isn't whether Bigfoot is real, it's what does he want us to believe? Because something in Monroe wasn't running, it was testing us. At minute 14, I'll show you something most researchers refuse to talk about. But first, let's go to that May morning. One father, one son, one dog going berserk, and a moment that changes everything we thought we knew about what lurks in the woods. It started like any other early morning hunt, just after 4:30 a.m., with the kind of quiet that only a Michigan swamp can offer. The air was wet with dew, the reeds of Plum Creek stood tall and motionless, and the sky hung low with spring mist. James Walker and his 30-year-old sonman, Eli, had just reached a clearing near the edge of a shallow marsh, prepping their compound bows and whispering about deer tracks. Then the dog changed everything. Ranger, their usually fearless German Shepherd mix, froze mid-step. No growl, just a low whimper, ears back, eyes locked on a high cottonwood about 40 feet ahead. And then it dropped. A figure, dark, massive, silent, fell from the upper limbs of the tree like a skydiver who forgot his parachute. It landed on 2 legs with a grace that defied its size, estimated later to be nearly 8 feet tall. In a single motion, it turned toward the marsh and sprinted. No, glided across the wet terrain, leaving behind only broken cattails and 2 stunned witnesses too afraid to even raise their bows. There were no glowing red eyes, no low howls, no stench of rot like so many classical Bigfoot stories. Just that unnatural stillness afterward, the kind that feels manufactured, designed. James described the motion with unsettling clarity in his police report. It wasn't clumsy, it wasn't panicked. It moved like it knew the terrain better than us, like it had trained for it. The local sheriff marked the report as unsubstantiated. But in the following week, 3 separate hunters reported similar figures in the same area, always seen from a distance, always silent, and always from above. Not the underbrush, not behind trees, but from the treetops. We've spent decades searching for Bigfoot in the wrong direction. Not behind us, not in front of us, but above us. That changes everything. Because a nearly 8-foot-tall being, moving vertically, leaping, dropping, and never making a sound, goes beyond biology. It enters the realm of tactics, of planning, of intent. Eli, the son, later said something that still haunts me. It wasn't scared of us. I think it wanted us to see it, just once. And here's what's most disturbing. There were no footprints, no hairs, no scat, no thermal signatures picked up in follow-up drone sweeps. But something set off Ranger that morning, and dogs don't lie. So the question isn't just, did they see Bigfoot? The real question is, why was Bigfoot in the tree waiting for them to arrive? Could it have heard them days before? Watched them? Understood the pattern of a hunting trip well enough to time its drop perfectly? That's not random. That's rehearsal. And if that's true, we're no longer talking about a creature hiding in fear. We're talking about something running an operation. Which brings us to Colorado and the viral footage that exploded just days later. A new sighting, a new video, and a new divide between those who believe and those who refuse to. 3 days after the Plum Creek sighting, something detonated across the internet. A group of whitewater rafters drifting through the Gunnison Gorge in Colorado captured a shaky 37-second clip on a GoPro mounted to a helmet. The footage was raw, grainy, but undeniably electric. A tall, upright figure, deep brown and covered in shaggy fur, moving across a rocky slope hundreds of feet above the river. It paused briefly as if scanning the gorge, then disappeared behind a ridge with fluid, deliberate motion. No jump cuts, no dramatic soundtrack, just wind, water, and a moment that felt primal. Reddit caught it first. Within hours, it was posted in r Cryptozoology, r Bigfoot and evidence, and even r Nature is Metal. By day 3, it had 10.4 million views, trending globally with hashtags like #Gunnison Ghost to #Mountain Sasquatch and #They're Real Now. Mainstream outlets began covering it by day 5. NBC, Vice, Joe Rogan's team, everyone wanted a piece of it. The comments were a tidal wave of shock, awe, and belief. For many, it was the closest thing to proof the cryptid community had seen in years. But then, science spoke. Dr. Mireya Mayer, renowned primatologist, National Geographic explorer, and former special ops, stepped into the storm. It's bipedal, yes, but the gait is off. Too fluid, too human. If you want to tell me that's a non-human primate, I'll ask why it moves like a parkour athlete. She wasn't dismissive, just surgical. Her breakdown of limb proportions, hip movement, and footfall weight painted a damning picture. It was either a human in a suit or a hoax too smart for its own good. The pushback was instant. You want it to be fake because you can't explain it. She's paid to cover it up. This is exactly what they said about the Patterson-Gimlin film in '67. But what really cracked the discourse in half wasn't her analysis. It was her tone, calm, unimpressed, like she'd seen it all before. You're not fighting against hoaxers anymore, Mayer later told a BBC podcast. You're fighting against the need to believe. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just a debate over a blurry video. It was a war between emotion and logic. The cryptid world had been so starved for validation that any footage, even footage that mimicked human movement, became sacred. So what does it mean when a creature like Bigfoot stops moving like an animal and starts moving like us? Some researchers argue it's confirmation bias, that people want to believe so badly, they rewire what they see in real time. But what if the opposite is true? What if the creature is adapting? Remember the Plum Creek sighting? No lumbering gait, no arms swinging wildly like a silverback, just precision, timing, purpose. Now fast forward to Gunnison, across states, across terrain, a similar build, a similar disappearance. And in both cases, not one sound was made. Dr. Mayer's final words on the topic still echo. If something was out there, it wouldn't want you to know it. So now we pivot. Because while the internet was melting down over pixels and footprints, a deeper story was surfacing. One older than TikTok, older than drones. A story whispered in languages we no longer speak, by people who never thought Bigfoot was a monster, but a messenger. And in the next section, we look not at sightings, but at belief systems. Because what if Bigfoot isn't hiding? What if it's choosing who gets to see it? In the shadowed timberlands of North America, Bigfoot isn't just a creature, it's a whisper of something older, more knowing, and dangerously observant. Long before trail cams and thermal drones, this figure was etched into the myths of countless native tribes under names that varied with region. But the message was often the same: respect it or face the consequences. Across generations, Bigfoot was never hunted. It was negotiated with. It wasn't just feared, it was believed to understand us better than we understood it. In tribal ceremonies, the sight of this being was interpreted not as luck, but as omen. A silent spectator of imbalance. A warning. Some elders spoke of it as a forest judge, stepping out only when the scales tipped too far. Others claimed it could shift forms, vanish into trees, or manipulate weather. This wasn't an animal hiding. This was intelligence choosing not to be seen. But here's where things twist. If this creature is observing, adapting, and understanding, is it evolving with us? In one of the more unsettling folktales, a child disappears into the woods and days later returns mute, changed. When asked where he went, he simply says, "The tall man with no name watched me sleep." The story ends there, with silence thicker than the forest itself. Bigfoot in this telling becomes less a beast and more a mirror, reflecting back our fear, our arrogance, our boundaries with the wild. Not a cryptid, but a consciousness, asserting space in a world we increasingly seek to dominate. And if Bigfoot is evolving, learning from us, then the next move isn't ours, it's his. Next, we step into a real-life vanishing act, one that took place in the Pacific Northwest. A man chasing Bigfoot may have found it, but never came back to tell us what he saw. A man live streams a Bigfoot sighting at 2:00 a.m. Days later, he disappears without a trace. It began with a flickering live stream, grainy footage of a shadowy figure lurking just beyond the glow of a cabin porch light. The man behind the camera, known online as Koda, whispered urgently, "It's back, right there by the tree line." His breath fogged the lens as he zoomed in on a towering silhouette, motionless yet undeniably present. The video, posted to TikTok, quickly amassed millions of views, igniting a firestorm of speculation and intrigue. Koda's followers were captivated. He had previously shared tales of unexplained noises and fleeting glimpses of a large bipedal creature near his remote Oregon cabin. But this video was different, clearer, more compelling. The figure's proportions defied easy explanation, and its stillness conveyed a sense of deliberate observation. In the days that followed, Koda announced plans for a solo expedition into the surrounding wilderness. "I'm going to find out what this thing is," he declared in a final post. Then silence. No more videos, no messages, nothing. Concerned fans alerted local authorities. A search was initiated, and Koda's vehicle was found abandoned near a trailhead leading into dense forest. Despite extensive efforts, no trace of him was discovered. The case remains open, a haunting question mark in the annals of Bigfoot lore. What if Bigfoot isn't just hiding, but choosing who gets to see it? The disappearance of Koda isn't an isolated incident. Across the Pacific Northwest, there are whispers of others who, after claiming encounters with the elusive creature, have vanished or withdrawn from public life. Some suggest these individuals were silenced, not by Bigfoot, but by the weight of their own experiences. In the digital age where every moment can be captured and shared, the line between myth and reality blurs. Koda's livestream brought Bigfoot into the collective consciousness in an unprecedented way. Yet his subsequent disappearance adds a chilling layer to the narrative. Skeptics argue that these stories are fabrications, fueled by a desire for attention or the allure of the unknown. But for believers, Koda's vanishing is a stark reminder of the potential consequences of seeking truths that dwell in the shadows. Maybe Bigfoot isn't just a mystery in the woods, but a mirror we don't want to face. Every eyewitness, every blurred photo, every echo in the trees, each one is a crack in the wall we've built around what we believe to be possible. From the father and son paralyzed in Monroe, to Koda's haunting livestream that ended in silence, this creature has shown us one terrifying truth. It doesn't need to hide. We just need to look away. Bigfoot might not be a monster. Maybe it's an intelligence, observing, remembering, deciding. Not the hunted, but the hunter of our arrogance. It may never show itself fully because it doesn't need to. It already knows us better than we know it. And that begs the question, are we searching for proof, or are we chasing the comfort of denial? What do you think happened to Koda? And more importantly, do you think Bigfoot is watching you? Drop your theories in the comments. Suggest who or what you want us to investigate next. Because sometimes the next mystery isn't out in the woods. It's already inside your screen. Subscribe for more unsolved stories. Share this video if you think the truth deserves a second look. Because this time, it looked back.